finally
Thank
get
you.
to do.
Yes, thank you for both of you for taking the time. And
No, it's
truly,
an absolute pleasure and an honor. And please, like during our conversation, I don't want to hear the word thank you again. Please don't embarrass us.
we definitely in Don Bosco live by the, as Andre sir says, the gratitude attitude. Because it opens up the door to many, many more things. So.
Absolutely. Well said. I think Chef Shantanu has done a good display of canapes and he's taken a lot of interest in doing that. So I like hopefully it will be a very good interactive session.
It will. It will.
You know, just for you all to know, I have people who are going to check in from the States and from South Africa who have seen. Yes, yes, they are going to be online. So we welcome all of them too. People who have gotten up in the middle of the night just to make sure that they are going to be on.
Ma'am, you've got a lot of friends, obviously, and family.
Yes, and all who love food and love to cook. So.
I know I read about you that you were there running your own business with your sister.
Yes.
And yes, you know, a lot of your friends and family would be logging in to see you. Fantastic. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. I would love to say that they're joining it for me. No, they're joining it for the food and to see the expertise.
As I said, sure. We will do the best that we can. In fact, Chef Shantanu,
I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure.
Excellent. So this starts in about 5 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be starting in a couple of minutes.
Right.
Yeah, just wait for all the, especially the students, because I can see our first years are all coming. It's the other batches that are trickling in slowly but surely.
Yes, yes, yes. I think we've got about 2 more minutes before we can actually officially start. We've got about 98, I believe.
Yes, yes.
I was praying, you know, that I hope I can log in.
I like the feature wall behind both of you.
Right.
You have got one nice.
So what we've done is we are using one. We are at work, it being a weekday. So this is one of our boardrooms, and Chef Shantanu is in another.
That is really nice. Those 2 accent walls, very well.
What Chef Shantanu has behind him is actually a wallpaper, but the way it's a wallpaper. Actually.
Wow. Yeah. It looks so real.
You know, maybe at a later point, not during the session, but we could walk you around our facility as a virtual tour of what we do, because food manufacturing is an area which is growing tremendously, and maybe for the students it could be, I would say, a stream of the industry which they can work towards, because there's not much.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that will be a very good idea to be able to walk through. Yesterday, Chef Shantanu very briefly showed us around on screen the boardrooms. We did see them, and yes, they look really beautiful. So I'm sure, Ma'am Annabelle, we could maybe do that, you know, later, and we could also have a look at their kitchens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you open to taking students that are fresh, or would it be someone who's got some kind of grounding in one of the 5 stars and then they come to you all, you know, with a little bit under their belt?
See, when you talk about with students who come in, the main kitchen is very much like, I would say, processes are different, of course, because the due diligence required for ready-meat manufacturing is a lot more stringent. But yes, chefs coming out of 5 stars and all, 5-star hotels does fit into the category, but that goes straight into new product development, wherein they come in, they create recipes, but the challenge and the know-how is when you take that basic recipe and then develop it into, upscale it to mass production recipe. So those are challenges that are taught in our kind of environment.
Okay. Okay. So I think our students should be, I don't know whether you know that every year we have an event that hosts 1,000 people. And so what happens is that the core team works along with every faculty to create certain dishes, and we do plates. We don't do a buffet. So you,
Okay.
on your plate, you would have a protein, a starch, and a salad or a crisp of some sort. So you're like little tapas. So you're going on, and you probably will have maybe 7 different plates or 9 different plates. And
Right.
so from those initial trials, then they go on to making the amount for 1,000 people. And you know, they do have a little bit of that under their belt, especially since they've been doing it for 3 years. The first year you would be, you know, probably just somebody who's chopping and making sure everything's together. Second year, a little more responsibility. And third year, you're in charge of the entire team.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
But yeah,
so
it must be a big task because 1,000 people sit down, pre-plating, making sure the temperatures are good. Each plate looks.
It's not pre-plated. You go to a counter and you can get it, but it's all plated right in front of you, so they can watch the kids do it. So you're still walking around. Yeah. But so I think, ma'am, your dish, how many? I think we served 5,000 plates. Was it on Spectrum?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, because you can have as many times as you want. So I think.
Yeah, we had more than 1,200 guests, Puneet.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Amazing.
So it was an absolutely amazing experience even for me. I wouldn't have believed that the students could, you know, really do something so beautiful if I hadn't been part of this event myself. But obviously, year after year, Ma'am Annabelle has started this at Don Bosco, and Don Bosco is the only college that is actually doing it in this manner.
Brilliant.
It's a great learning for the students, and they gradually build into it. You know, the earlier events are like 250, 300, 500 people, then they move on. And even when we are practicing to make it to 1,200 plates, we actually make them do 500 plates, then they do 1,000 plates, then we come down to the day where we are actually serving once again the 1,200 plates.
Gradual build up.
Tremendous, you know, work that goes back end to make sure that the evening is a success.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I have to say, it was wonderfully done. Thanks to the team that I have.
Absolutely.
I can keep pushing everybody, but they actually executed beautifully.
Ma'am, it's 2:30 now. So shall we?
Yes.
Yes. Chef Melroy, we're ready.
Yeah. We're at 170, so we're good.
I think we're very good.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. We'll start.
Okay. So
I'll put the PPT on, ma'am.
No, yes, that's right.
प्लग नहीं किया इसको
आवाज आ रही है मेरे को इधर से
हाँ that's fine वही मैंने
मैं लगा लेता हूँ
नहीं लगाने
Good afternoon, everyone. A special good morning to our 2 chefs, panelists, as they're joining us from London directly. Thank you, everyone, for joining in, and a big welcome to everybody. Next slide. At Don Bosco, we carry forward the legacy of Saint John Bosco. We're committed to providing education and equal opportunities for all. Next slide. On behalf of the management, faculty, staff, a big welcome to everyone today. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of all of us to also welcome our very own first years who have joined just a couple of days ago. Welcome, first years. Our topic of conversation today is canapés down in a bite. Let me begin by introducing our first panelist for the day. Chef Puneet Arora. Chef Puneet is the director for DSI Foods and he helms Canapium, London. Before I go any further, I'd like to share something very small with everyone. Chef Puneet began his culinary career with me as my student. Puneet carries with him the legacy of his father. He is the son of the honored and legendary Indian chef, Chef Satish Arora. Chef Satish Arora has also been a mentor to me. Welcome, Puneet. It gives me great pleasure to have you here with us today. Puneet's company, DSI Foods, that helms Canapium, Puneet himself is responsible for securing many blue chip contracts with his customers being British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, Harrods, Qantas, Virgin Trains, and Air India. Previously, the executive chef for Noon Products, Noon Aviation, and Bombay Halwa. He's also been the ex-executive chef for Emirates Flight Catering Dubai, culinary project manager for SATS Singapore, exec chef Bangkok International Cuisine Company, Thailand, sous chef Emirates Stars Dubai, sous chef Taj Samudra Colombo, junior chef Taj Mahal Mumbai, chef de partie at Indian Banquets Taj Mahal Mumbai, and has trained at the Taj Mahal Mumbai. He is fortunate and blessed to have been trained and with Chef Willie Elsner, Chef Anton Mosiman, Chef Gordon Ramsay, and of course, his father and mentor, Chef Satish Arora. Chef Puneet has cooked for the Chief of Army, Major General Ranbir Singh, catered on several presidential flights for presidents of Bangladesh, Tunisia, and Afghanistan. He is the finalist for the Asian Achievers Award UK and has been celebrity chef for the inaugural flight for Air Sahara and co-authored the Noon Cookbook. Amongst his many awards, and I'm just going to name a few, he is the first Indian chef supersonic cooking, winner of Biba for Biryani Recipe 2004, Best British Meat International Chef for 2002. He's catered to the royal rulers of the first family of Dubai. He's catered for the Australian cricket team in Mumbai and catered to the Prime Minister's flight outbound from London for the Commonwealth Meeting 2018. I am pleased and honored to welcome Chef Puneet. Thank you so much for gracing our platform today. Our second panelist, Chef Santanu. He is the new product development manager for DSI Foods. I've spoken with Chef Santanu maybe 5 or 6 times on the phone. What I have gathered through my conversations is he's extremely gifted, very soft-spoken, and very, very passionate about the food that he creates. I think you'll get an opportunity to see that passion today when he demonstrates live for us 2 of the canapés that are popular for DSI Foods and Canapium London. An alumnus of CMS College Coimbatore, he has a bachelor's degree in catering science and hotel management and is a postgraduate of the London Academy for Higher Education London, UK. He's worked at Berkeley Scott London, has been chef in charge at Capital Care Services, chef de partie at Absolute Taste in Flight London, Reed Hospitality, chef in charge at Cochin Brasserie London, Touch of Taste London, and has trained at Metropolitan Hotel Dubai and at the Grand Ashok Bangalore. His achievements include working with Chef Gordon Ramsay's charity dinner on Women's Aid London. He's been part of the world's biggest buffet organized in Dubai and participated in Futura, which is the Creative Chefs Competition, Coimbatore, India. Chef Santanu creates new recipes. He works on improving new recipes. He's an ace at bento boxes, sushi, hot and cold dim sum, and snack packs. Adept both with fresh and frozen products. He develops meals for for airline, for retail, for restaurant banquets, always keeping the client in mind. His focus is exceeding customer expectations. Thank you, Chef Santanu. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. I now have the pleasure of introducing Miss Annabelle Rodrigues, Head of Department. She helms the Don Bosco College of Hospitality Studies. She is the lady who strings the entire team together. She's been an entrepreneur for 17 years in the US with her late sister Jeanette, and has helmed her own restaurant, Amelia's Deli, Bistro and Catering. I have the pleasure and honor of working with her previously as well as now. I know her to be a tough taskmaster. She pushes, she prods, she encourages you to embrace your potential. Ma'am Annabelle, thank you so much. And ma'am, please, will you now grace our session, welcome our guests, and share your thoughts with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Meher ma'am. That was a wonderful, wonderful introduction to our college, to both the chefs and to myself. I thank you very much. I thank you for making this entire webinar possible. You know, I really do want to thank both Chef Puneet and Chef Shantanu for taking the time. You know, you have no idea how much and you empower the students when they see faces that look just like them, that are successful. So they know that it is possible. It's not just an element that is out there that they have to dream up, it's an actuality. Puneet, I have to say, you know, you have blue blood, considering you're Satish Arora's son, chef. And I had the absolute pleasure of working, actually training under chef in my 1 year at the Taj while I was studying for my post-diploma. And it was an absolute and complete honor. His legacy obviously is not just with you, but I think with every single hotel management student that has had the absolute and complete privilege to be trained by him. And even if they weren't, just by reading about all that he has done and seeing his work at the Taj. Shantanu, I thank you very much. You've been very kind by making sure that, you know, if there's one thing Ma'am Meher is known for is her eye for detail and making sure every stone is turned. So I'm sure there were many calls to get to this webinar. And I appreciate all that you have done and all that you're going to do through this webinar. Thank you very much, both of you, for the time. And I don't want to take any more time because my students must be saying, can we get on with the canapés? So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Meher.
Chef Puneet, if you'd like to, you know, make an opening comment for our audience.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am Annabelle Meher. For us, it's an honor to be part of this webinar. I would just start off by saying that, you know, it's your parents and your guru that give you a good and a strong platform in life. I'm really obliged to have amazing parents who have done a lot for me, and I success to them. And on the same note, and I keep you, Ma'am Meher, at you know, you have been instrumental in shaping up my career path. I started off, you know, my first how to hold a knife was actually by you. Today, whatever, I definitely owe my success, this career path that I chose. I thankfully have been successful in it by the grace of God, by blessings from my parents and yourself. I'm not saying it for the sake of it, but I genuinely mean it. I used to really panic. I used to have international cookery classes, where you would come into the room, into the classroom, or into the training session or the workshops that we would have. They were absolutely brilliant. I enjoyed. That was my point of understanding food. Everybody enjoys eating food, but to understand the science behind it, it was you who introduced me to it. So I'm always indebted to that.
Thank you.
And it's not just for the sake of it, I genuinely mean it.
Thank you.
Business, food business, we are in a stream of business which is not like hospitality, where hotels and all are always in the forefront, where students are attracted towards hotels. And we have a stream of business which is revolving around snacks, canapés. So today's session is about discussing how we cater to the masses, how we attend to big functions, how we create, develop canapés, and maybe in between, if we get some opportunity, we can talk to you about food manufacturing as well, which is the other stream of our business. So thank you.
Thank you. Chef Santanu, an opening statement from you.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been an absolute honor that we can be a part of this webinar, and thank you for inviting us to Donggala College and all the culinary staff. We believe we can give some sort of information on canapés to all your students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to begin the session with 4 slides. Chef Melroy, if you could please start.
Yes, ma'am, I'll share it.
Thank you so much. So, like I've explained, we are going to share 4 slides just to discuss what a canapé means. While success of any food will depend on the taste, a very important element is the visual aspect that the food brings to the table. Perhaps you're one of those who likes to add a touch of style to your food. Perhaps you're one of those who simply cooks for the family, for friends, guests, and enjoys it thoroughly. Perhaps you're one like us, who cooks professionally. What we all share in common is our love for cooking, is our will to earn the compliments for the food that we cook. Most cooks love to show off their food. And that's where the topic of our discussion for today begins. Canapés, down in a bite, the ultimate food bliss. A canapé is a small hors d'oeuvre, a small decorative piece of food consisting, the base could be bread, it could be puff, it could be sweet, it could be savory. It's eaten in one bite. Also known as an aperitif, a tidbit, an antipasto, a nibble, an amuse-bouche, an amuse-gueule, a starter. It's a sneak preview. We've all eaten vol au vents, so we know what we mean when we say finger food. They're classified under these different headings. They could be cocktails, they could be hors d'oeuvres, canapés, relishes and crudités, a petit salad. It could be something as simple as a chip and a dip, just beautifully fresh fruits and vegetables cut and arranged on a platter. Anything that is small, attractively presented, could be classified as an appetizer. Certain small precepts that we need to remember. We always keep in mind the nature of the event, as well as that a menu may follow. It's not the only food item that you may be serving. Some canapés require ice carvings, ice beds, for them to be served, something like seafood and caviar especially. But it's also done for the dramatic appeal, for their dramatic visual look. Hors d'oeuvres that are served on platters or passed need to be very thoughtfully presented. Always choose something that is eye-catching. Show off the design of your plate, show off the design of your food. That is important. Couple of principles which I'm touching very briefly on, because both the chefs are going to elaborate with further ideas. All appetizers must be served at the proper temperature. Seasoning plays a very important aspect. You need to give meticulous care. It's meant to stimulate the appetite. Slice, shape, portion sizes, all need to be very appropriate. Neatness counts for everything, not just for appetizers. Color, shape, the space on your plate, the overall composition of your plate. And a very, very important element, the garnish. Every single canapé that you serve must be garnished. Next slide. I'd like to share this short story by Alex Morit. He's compared the canapé to a short story. I thought that was really a beautiful, beautiful quotation where, you know, he's comparing it to the tapas and the mezes of the world. A small tasty morsel that whets the reader's appetite. Thank you. That's my little PPT presentation. And now we'll move in with questions for our two chefs. We'll begin with Chef Puneet. Chef Puneet, could you please share with us a little about DSI Foods and how the vertical Canapium London was formed?
DSI Food has been in existence for the past 15 years. It's owned by a gentleman called Mr. Rohit Khagram. It's a family-owned business, and it started off, the business started off with producing canapes for the Concorde, and that's how it that was the starting point of the business, and gradually it progressively it moved into doing airline meals, hot entrees. Today, after 15 years, we are not only doing airline food, but we've also kind of gone into retail manufacturing, doing ready meals for the retailers out here in the UK. But besides that, Canapim is another offshoot of the business, as I mentioned to you earlier in the conversation, that we cater to some high-end hotels and events here in the UK. So that's about DSI Foods.
Thank you, Chef. Chef, your organization is EHO standards and SALSA approved.
Right.
You could share with us, you know, and elaborate a little about what that literally means to the customer, please.
Right. So SALSA is Safe and Local Supplier Approval. EHO is Environmental Health Officers who come in and audit us. So these are accreditations that any food manufacturing business require when they are for operating or dealing with food, ready to eat food. EHO is the basic most requirement. This involves the hygiene standards, how the raw material intake takes place, the end-to-end process, but the requirements are very much revolving around HACCP, which is hazard analysis and critical control points of a business. A step further from there is SALSA, which I told you is Safe Local Supplier Approval. There, the allergen aspect of it comes in, how you segregate allergens from the regular food that you have, because in today's environment, immunity, a lot of people have got, you know, they've got limitations to eating certain ingredients because of allergies that they have. So SALSA governs that. And what is the optimum level of accreditation is BRC, which is British Retailers Consortium. we've got two facilities here in the UK. One is in main London, which is in Acton, and the other one is close to the Heathrow Airport. Our unit in Acton is SALSA approved, and our unit in Heathrow is BRC approved. When I say BRC, that is the pinnacle of accreditation that you can get in the food industry, and we are AA grade. So where specific details of allergen segregation, the processes, traceability, if God forbid a customer consumes a meal made by us, and God forbid they have a problem, they find a foreign body in the food, we are equipped to do a complete forward and backward traceability on our products. So that goes right up to the suppliers, the farm. To give you an example, we do a seed to plain concept for one of our customers, wherein we have complete traceability of the seeds that go into the farms. From there, they are converted into vegetables, lettuces, and then they are sent to us. We value add, convert them into finished products, and then they are sent on to the customer or the airline. If there is, God forbid, any issue, we can trace it back to the seed, exactly knowing when it was sown, what. So that's the detail which is required in food manufacturing. Because when you are traveling 36,000 feet up in the air, you cannot possibly have any issues like food poisoning. So to keep on top of the situation, these are parameters which are very much instilled in the team, within our business, that we have to be serious and we have to follow the discipline, which is governed by accreditations like BRC, SALSA, and EHO.
Thank you. That is simply amazing. And I think that is a beautiful sharing for our students to understand how much food safety plays a role in any food production. So, Chef Puneet, your menu offers 150 canapés to the guests. How do you get a guest to maybe try out something new that may not be? Maybe, you know, you design, your team designs new offerings. So how do you get the guests to say, I'd like to try something new, and, you know, make them want to try something new and that's not on your regular list?
If the way the business works is that these 150 canapés, these have evolved over the years of being in the business, where you develop certain canapés based on the request of individual customers. And if those canapés go very well on, during the function, or the feedback that we get is fantastic, then we add them onto our offering. There are certain classic canapés like the Gravlax, or you would have a duck confit canapé. Those people expect them to be as part of that, because those are traditional canapés. So the 150 that we have come to is by means of popular demand from the customers, some of the traditional canapés. Now, coming to your point of interaction with the customers definitely, if they see a nice canapé in a magazine, or they would have tried it somewhere during their travels, they come to us, they speak to Chef Shantanu, to myself, and say, this is what we have tried, and they try and explain it. Now, that's most difficult, to convert a thought into reality, where you create a canapé based on just a verbal conversation that you have. We try and extract as much of information as we can on the flavors, on the visual, and we build up a canapé. Many a times it does happen that it's bingo, it's good, it meets the requirement, and then the customer is happy with it. Now, the beauty about canapés is that we've got 150 canapés just on our menu, but we have a vast knowledge and a database or a recipe bank of canapés. You can create 1,500 canapés from this 150, because you can mix and match the bases, you can mix and match the fillings, the garnishes, the toppings. So I'm a strong believer that food does not have any boundaries. It totally depends on your creativity, but you have to follow the science behind it, because that is what allows you to bring in sustainability. If you build a canopy, anybody can build it, but you have to look at the end-to-end process, whether it will stay good, hold good after 5 years of, 5 hours of being produced, whether the garnish will topple off, whether the base will go dry. So there is science behind it, but creativity definitely plays a major role.
Thank you. Thank you. So like you said, there is a science and an art that is involved. So yes. Tell me, I don't know, this might be difficult, but how do you actually deliver for your customers? I mean, you know, right from your factory where it is produced in your kitchens, right, till it goes to your banquet function. What, yes. I mean, how does that happen?
As I mentioned to you, that you have to be very critical about the end-to-end process. And that goes for anything, whether it is banqueting, whether it is working in a Michelin star restaurant, or dealing with canapés. So what we've done is that we've designed specific trays, because during movement, during transit from our kitchens, taking it to the main venue where the functions are taking place, the integrity of the canapés have to be maintained. And since we were going to speak about the subject on canapés, I took the liberty to show you a bespoke tray that we have designed for transporting our canapés. So if you see these grids which fall through, so the base is not smooth. It's a rough base, so that the canapés, they sit very well, and we just align them and they snuggle very well on these trays. And these are disposable trays as such. They go on with a lid. The lids are designed with these ribs, so to say, so that they do not touch and tamper with the visual of the canapés. So, and we shrink them completely so that they are tamper-proof. They go into carts, like airline carts that you have, so that during transit in the vans, the chiller vans that we have, the canapés do not get damaged at all. So you have to actually look into the end-to-end process. So for a complete smooth execution and the desired execution, what you present to a customer as a sign-off product, when you have an upscaled format of that, it needs to match. You cannot deviate from it and say, oh, I'm sorry, it could have been damaged during transportation. No, if you're committing to the customer, you are obliged to give the same product that is a sign off at the beginning during your conversation, because the customer deserves that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Chef. Chef Santanu, hello again. And could you please explain to us what the role of an NPD manager is, and how you conceptualize or you create these new canapés which will whet the appetite of the customers and induce them to want more?
Yep. So NPD manager, as it stands, it's new product development manager, which is something that usually, in the past when we were in college, it's not something that we were not even aware of. Oh, this is the less familiar job role as a chef that you can pick up in the industry when you get into. But obviously, I've worked my ranks through and then gained experience and then become into a new product development role. So the role is just based on that, as Puneet rightly mentioned, that you are taking a concept from your customer and then making sure that you produce to the customer expectations, making sure that it is feasible and viable in your process of the factory. So it has to fit in a bread that you choose, a topping that you choose, a base, or it could be a garnish. It needs to fall everything into your factory process. So this has to be thought through from the beginning when you start thinking of the project and making sure that it works. Then obviously, as in transport as well, it holds on that it will not fall off any toppings or any garnish will not fall off. So this has to be thought through, and then make sure that it is producible in our environment, in our manufacturing environments. So that is the job role in short for an NPD manager. And how to a concept from launch, as I've mentioned, that you have to make sure that every single component that you use to build a canopy has to be within your process of your factory. So if there is anything that you cannot use, then it has to be in a way that you um, make it, or you trim it down in a way that you can top a canopy, and then it works throughout its life. It could be that you make it today, then it might not be fresh for tomorrow. So you have to think of a topping which stands out and then looks fresh on the next day, because not every canopy or not every event that would not be served that you make on the day and serve on the day. So you might be preparing a day in advance for the following day or for the next day. So the canopy has to be stand out until it's live. So that's how we start thinking of the that's the process thinking. Yeah.
Thank you, Chef. Thank you. Chef, what challenges do you need to prepare for to face during transportation of the canopy from factory kitchen to the banquet function? So
Okay.
what, sorry.
Yeah, one of the the packaging is plays an important role, and then we've come up with cavity lined trays, which Puneet has showcased just before. So in terms of creating it, we have to make sure any canopy that we create, it has to fit in within the package, making sure the height, the diameters, everything fits in, and then the canopies does not move around. And in terms of build, and you have to make sure you choose the right base, you choose the right topping and the garnish. So we use any sort of, I don't know, cream cheese or mayonnaise or pestos as a mode of base for the canopy, making sure the topping sticks to the base. So while in transport, they will not fall off.
Thank you, thank you. That sounds good. So, Chef, whilst you are preparing, like you said, you take into consideration several elements. So, how does one factor in wastage or scraps whilst you're going to prepare the canopies? I'm sure there must be, So, how does one address this concern?
Obviously, any manufacturing, it doesn't matter, is a ready meal or a canopium or a sandwich factory, they will have some sort of scrap. But being that we are into ready meals, airline catering, and we do multiple other sectors of food industry, we have the advantage of utilizing the scraps. So imagine that we are making some canopies and using bread base. So it is required that the customer would ask for a round shaped base or a triangle shape or a rectangle or a square. So every different cut will have different levels of wastage. So if it's a bread that we are using as a base, the trimmings could be used into making breadcrumbs, which we then goes into fish cakes or risotto cakes for paneing. So that could be used in a way that the scrap is minimized. If it is a vegetable waste that coming out of the canopy, that can be used into making soups or fillings or stock base. So that we have that flexibility to manage the scraps.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Chef, as tempting as it is to go on repeating popular canapes on your menu, how do you select or choose an unusual idea? I mean, is it the guest that gives you the idea? Do you sit down and think, let me create something new for this occasion or for this function, and you bring that change into your menu list and make it popular? How do you do that?
Again, in terms of popular canopies, Puneet has mentioned about salmon gravlax or smoked salmon. These are a couple of canopies that is being there since Canopium has started. So the minor changes, depending on how the market changes. we tend to bring in different smoke flavors of salmon, oak smoked or beetroot smoked. So those are the changes that we can bring in and make more life and make it more interesting as a canopy. So depending on how the trends change, but the key element or the premium component of the canopy stays as it is. So, and in terms of new concepts, it is not always necessary that customer asks you for some sort of a brief, that we can always produce our own new canopies and then showcase it to different clients as well. It could be airlines or a hotel or food service sites or banquets. And in terms of concept, how it's again depending on the market. Like now, veganism is one of the trend. Gluten free is another trend. So recently, we have created a lasagna. It's a completely vegan and gluten free at the same time. So it was the biggest challenge. So looking at it, we've used a lentil-based pasta sheet to make up the lasagna and a completely bean and milk-based filling. And then instead of being a bechamel, we've created a bechamel using coconut milk. So that's how we started, developing ideas. And then the same concept goes into canopies as well.
I'll add on to that, Ma'am Meher, like
Yes,
canapé, Shantanu has mentioned
Yes.
that we also do themed canapés, like for graduation ceremonies for big colleges here in the UK. You've got themes, where you have unique stencils where you cut the vegetables in the shape of a hat for the graduation of students, where you have specific canapes for Halloween where you've got pumpkin being used as the base. So this is how the themes evolve. And again, they are in line with the customer requirement.
Thank you. Thank you. That sounds really amazing and must be one creative working atmosphere at Canapium. So, Chef Santanu, would you like to share something, maybe, any very challenging event that you probably created some special canapé for, or, a banquet function, anything, some canapé that was really, really challenging for you to create and think of, and how you went about it?
Being in a banquet, every kind of challenge, like in different levels. It could be in transport, it could be in production, but being one of the past experience creating a canopy for a wedding banquet. It is a carpaccio with a fresh salad and a drizzle of balsamic. So that was the brief from the customer. And then we had to come up with how we're going to serve it, because a carpaccio, a salad, and a drizzle of balsamic, there is no carrier as a canopy base that you can take it into the client, into the banquet. So we started thinking about it, and then we came up with a sushi chopstick style skewer where you can hold the carpaccio. So a carpaccio, to give you an idea what a carpaccio is seared beef tenderloins marinated in mustard, salt, pepper, and then you roll it and then slice it into thin pieces. So that is the canopy. So we've done all the preparation, we've sliced it, and then at the banquet we had to serve it because there is no way that you can transport it. So we were doing the banquet, we've created the chopstick size, the sushi sticks, and then made it into a U-shaped roll, filled the fresh salad micro-herbs, and then drizzled with a balsamic dressing, and then the chopstick was going into the banquet.
Thank you.
The challenge was, if you overfill or underfill, by the time the customer takes it from the platter, it just falls off. So it has to be precise.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Chef. Thank you. Ma'am, Annabelle, would you like to add something or say something? Ma'am, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, there you are. Yes. I'm extremely excited to hear about the gluten-free product. That lasagna just sounded out of this world. to know that it was made from lentil and the coconut milk bechamel. I think that took me, I think I stopped listening for a second after that because I was dreaming of how wonderful that sounded. And of course, this carpaccio. I am going to worry you at a later date for a picture of this because if any of my senior students know, that's one of my, if I was the last day on earth and somebody asked me, what do you want to eat? Carpaccio would have been it. So to know that it was done on a chopstick is something that I really want to see. I really am, especially during COVID and all that we are going through, it is amazing to hear the levels of safety that you've had pre-COVID. So I can imagine post-COVID how much more it's going to be. And to know that you're already at that superior level is extremely reassuring, and to know that it's a benchmark that everybody else has to get to. I'm really looking forward to seeing it virtually, and hopefully at some point in time in the future seeing it physically, your entire operation. But waiting to see the demonstration now. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, Chef Puneet and Chef Santanu. That was really very deeply insightful. Chef Santanu, now over to you, and we're looking and waiting to see the beautiful canapés. How I wish we could also get to eat them. We will virtually eat them.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I have got some pre-made canapés just to showcase and then give you an idea. We do at Canopy MDSI, and also got a small display of a canopy bases, style or tartlets. I can't show all in one screen, so I'm going to show you one by one. So I don't know. So those are a small canopy platter.
Don't drag chairs.
So
Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
This is a sunless tomato hummus on a pizza bread topped with char grilled vegetables, and we used a small red garnish.
Wow.
Just completely thinking away from all the bread bases. This is using vegetables. So this is a cucumber base. So we scoop the cucumber seeds out and then fill it with the red pepper hummus. Wow. And the toppings are black olives and the garnish that is chives.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
A different base, which is crostini, with a small baguettes topped with lemon chicken.
Oh, lovely.
Absolutely. Look at the color of the chicken.
Yeah, it's a Mediterranean concept. This fruit, a white pesto marinated chicken, topped with dried tomato flakes.
Wow.
I'm going to show you some canopy base, what we make in-house. So those are the mini scones, which you can cut into half, and then, or you can use as a whole scone, and then like a mini sandwich, mini tartlet cases. These are made in-house, made naan bread. And this is a flavored crostini. So we've used a rose harissa. So the harissa made with rose petals, and then making the pre-cells into a crostini.
Wow, that is amazing.
And these are some of the shapes that you can make, like for a canopy base. This is like a triangle, like a square, crude. And we also have a blini.
Oh,
So this is something that I'm going to show today using a blini as well as using a naan bread. So blini, again, we make in-house, which is the easy way that you can relate to a blini is pancake. So here it is made with egg whites, chickpea, and added with seasoning, herbs, that you are making it like a pancake. So you have to make sure the egg is stiff peak before you add any other ingredient. Then you cannot make all the bigger batches. It has to be made controlled batches of 2 kilos or 3 kilos because that egg and then you can make. So while you make the greenies, they raise nicely.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Chef, may I request you to speak up a little louder, please?
Yes, sure.
Yes, thank you, Chef.
So I'm going to show two simple canapes, which is inherited from our Canapian menu and has been simplified a bit to make it a bit easier for students to understand. So the first one I'm going to do is a salmon-based canopy. I'm using gravlax. So gravlax is a cured salmon we make in house.
Chef, can you please request the person who's holding your camera to just, angle it so we can see the table? Yes, now we can. We can. Thank you.
So the gravlax is something that we make in house. It's a cured salmon. So we cure it over the 24 to 48-hour period of time with a mix of sugar and salt. So we cure it once after curing, the sugar salt mixture is being washed off. Then we marinate with different sort of spices, herbs. You can think of anything because there's no, as Puneet said, there is no boundaries for food. So you can think of any sort of marinades or toppings. It could be a crust with herbs and whole spices. Then you crush it and then apply it. Then you seal it in pouches. So it is to make sure that the marinade is coated into the canopy. Then you slice it into thin slices, that we use to top the beanies. So here I'm going to use that. It's a plain cover lunch without any topping, without any sort of herb crust or anything. So it is just pure salmon, thin spices, and the blini base. I'm going to use a little bit of cream cheese as a base. So when you build the canopies, you need to make sure that the four parts of the canopy, which is the base, the canopy base, and then you spread, you will have a topping, and you have a simple garnish. So that's the four parts of the canopy. These needs to be working well when you think of any canopies. So I'm going to use a little bit of gravlax. I'm going to use a chive batter as a garnish, and as a spread, I'm using cream cheese, which works in many canopies because of its nature that it helps to hold the topping much better than any other spread, and it's equal in taste. So it binds well with any sort of toppings, savory toppings. So I'm going to take the blini, spread a bit of cream cheese. And here, these are the salmon slices. I'm just going to fold it into small little rosettes.
lovely.
And again, I'm going to add a bit more cream cheese on the topping to make sure that your garnish. So this is something, if you are doing in a restaurant, that you probably don't need a cream cheese on the top because you have enough at the base. So we here in the manufacturing, we need to get that balance right, that the amount of spread that you apply on a blini, because you want your garnish to be hold on while in transporting. So we add a tiny bit of cream cheese on the top. Then I'm going to add these are chive batters, which is a herb. So your garnish is secure, they won't fall off. You can see I've tilted the canapes, so they're still holding on. And then to enhance it and to give it a bit more kick, you can use crushed black pepper. And that's what it would look like.
Beautiful, beautiful. So from one simple base, you can, put any other toppings and you could make anything, whether you put a slice of salmon or you put a slice of a vegetable or anything. We have so many millions of ideas to take off from that one canapé.
Yes, endless how you can use and how you can think of a canopy.
Absolutely.
So moving on to the second one.
While Chef Shantanu is getting ready, can we acknowledge one and only Chef Satish Arora? Thank you for joining us. It's a privilege. Thank you for being here. I know that you're here for Puneet, but I can vouch that all our students are in absolute awe that you are here to on the webinar, to watch the webinar. Thank you so much, Chef.
Thank you, Chef Satish Arora.
I'm really honored to be here. Earlier also I was there. I am watching since the beginning, but I had not switched on my camera purposely because I get tempted to talk, and I think this is wonderful, and this is one of the best webinars I think I'm seeing it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chef.
He's being biased.
I feel so, Shantanu, I'm feeling hungry.
Absolutely.
Waiting to serve you, Chef.
Thank you, Shantanu. God bless you, both of us.
Thank you. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
So moving on to our second one, I'm using earlier I showed you naan bread. So it's similar to the base, but the mixture is slightly different in the ratio of so and then we're using a little bit of yeast here to get the flavors. So that's the base. I'm going to use a Moroccan spiced chicken. So again, this is a blend of turmeric, coriander, lemon juice, cumin, salt, pepper. So we marinate it overnight and then bake it in the oven until it is cooked through. Then we cut it into smaller pieces so we can make sure that they fit into the base well. As a spread, I'm using cream cheese. Again, as I mentioned, it goes well with any canapes. Then for your garnish, I'm going to use dried apricots, thinly sliced. We gently and the herb garnish. So there's two garnishes. We'll have coriander leaves. To the build, pretty much same way. We are going to apply the cream cheese first. So your spread, second part is done. Then you place the chicken. Then you're going to put a bit more of cream cheese to secure your garnish. And a fresh leaf of coriander. So here is the final canopy. Again, I'm tilting it so you can see they are holding on.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Very attractive.
Lovely.
So that's the two canopies. Simple and then easy to make, and then otherwise you can use, to make it even more premium on the salmon. You can think of adding caviars. It could be different, salmon roe, herring roe. It depends on what's available and then what the customer needs. And so depending on the needs of the customer, you can make it even more premium, any canopy. So these are the simple bases how you can think of in building a canopy. But then it's pure imagination how you can make it even more premium and more exciting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chef. Thank you. That was so simple to look at, and I'm sure it is super delicious. What do you think, ma'am?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the color that came off the Moroccan chicken. Is it difficult to keep the chicken tasting juicy, even though it's? I mean, obviously it is chilled, right? It's not going to be warm. So
yeah. So the chicken, it all once you marinate it, then you're using lemon juice. It tenderizes, and then we are applying a steam roast rather than a roast. So not oozing up all the liquid, so it still stays moist enough. And then you're using a spread in the
right.
base, in the canopy. So altogether, it will be a good eat.
Lovely, lovely. Can I ask one question? So I mean, both these were chilled. If we were going to be serving hot canapes, how do you? I mean, obviously we can't transport it at that. It's transported cold. They then reheat it. That must be a very big challenge, right?
Yeah, we serve with hot and cold canopies. So depending on the needs of the client or depending on the banquet, if there is a chef, at times the chef goes for the event and then at the back end of the event, he will be preparing or finishing off the canopy. So all the pre-preparations are done from the base and then taken to the event. So if it's a hot canopy, it needs a reheating or it might need a full cook. So we do all the preparations, take it to the banquet, it there, and then serve it fresh and hot. If it is a reheating process, then again the first cook is controlled, making sure it is safe, there is no microorganism, there's any sort of food hygiene issues or food safety issues are there. So we make sure that it is being cooked to the core temperatures, and then it is heated to a level that it is warmed, and then
Thank you, Chef. Thank you. Thank you. That is really, it's been wonderful. If there are any questions anybody has, they could raise their hand and, ask. Chef Puneet, if you'd like to, share some views of yours along with Chef Santanu's, we'd be happy.
I'm hungry now. I can't wait to go next door and eat these canapes.
You are so lucky.
No, I think we've covered most of the core aspects of building up a canapé, what goes the transport very, I would say, neatly demonstrated.
Very.
Canapé is all about bite size. It's about a blend of ingredients. When you talk about like what he demonstrated with the Moroccan chicken, apricot as a flavor goes well with Moroccan chicken because the spices, the blend of spices that he's used, the sweetness of the apricot complements that. The visuals look good. Talking about the gravlax, where he said that there are no boundaries. You can use any herb to your desire or what your taste profile, create various combinations. And that's the beauty about food. That's the beauty about developing canapes, that there are no restrictions. Of course, you have to ensure that the ingredients that you're using complement each other, and end-to-end execution is taken care of. As he rightly mentioned that Ma'am Annabelle asked about hot canapes. Now, it is very, very important that the first cook, as Chef Shantanu demonstrated, has to be where the core temperatures are achieved so that there is no issue of food poisoning or a spoilage of food at a later stage. These events, from the time you cook to the time they are served to the customer, there is a time lapse. Even though in transit you are maintaining the temperature controls as you would to an optimum level, but there is this one instance that can spoil or cause spoilage or damage to the product. So you have to think about the end-to-end process completely.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Puneet. Thank you. Puneet, supposing our students decided, okay, they'd like to create an event completely centered on, hors d'oeuvres, canapes, what advice would you give to them to create this menu?
Of course, it would be theme driven. Then would be the cuisine type that they would like to present. The third would be on innovation as to how they present. So as you have mentioned in your slides, that an ice sockle can be a form of presenting canapes. A lot of people use dry ice. In my days at the Taj, while working at the Taj, where Chef Arora used to do his banquets, a lot of times any special kind of during service of canapes, the lights would be slightly dim, and he would have these sparklers, where the waiters would walk in with the sparklers. So the focus is very much on the canapes itself. So my only advice to the students would be, do not make it complicated. Focus on the taste profile. People eat with their eyes first. So when we work on building up on any canapes, we go with the 4 pillars, which is texture, aroma, visual, not in any particular order. The taste has to be appealing, wherein as I mentioned about the blend of flavors, that's very essential. Texture, if you're using a crostini or you're using a naan bread, how would that go with the texture of the protein that sits on top of it, the mouth feel of it? The textures are important. Like a cream cheese soothes it up completely, mayonnaise, cream cheese, hummus. There is no end to creativity, but when you talk about the textures need to complement each other. Aroma, of course, it shouldn't be off-putting. Food, beautiful aroma. When you're walking by a waffle shop, you get attracted to it because your appetite gets completely driven towards saying that, oh, I wish I could have this. So that's the importance of aroma, that if a product smells good, it definitely wins half your battle, that yes, it would taste good as well. It will be you'll be attracted towards it. And of course, I've spoken about the visual of the food, that you eat with your eyes first. It has to be attractive for you to go, to be inclined to go and try that product.
Absolutely, absolutely. Chef Satish Arora, if there's something you could add for our students, that would be really, really the cherry on the cake.
Ma'am, thank you for giving me this honor to talk. First of all, I'm nice. It is very nice to meet Annabelle, madam, which I had heard about her a lot earlier. She said she has worked in Taj training. I'm an old man. I don't remember that at the moment.
86, 87, sir.
I am also very happy to see you, Mayor. But I must say that Puneet and Shantanu, they both are true professionals. I think the way they have spoken and the way they have carried this webinar, the way they have explained, and even Madam Annabelle's concern that their hygiene systems and their hygiene processes are even much better. They were pre-COVID also. And I had an honor to go there and work also and to see DSI. I can vouch for that. And this is just a trailer what Shantanu showed. His bag is full. And I have rubbed shoulders with him. And I think he is a wonderful chef. And he has done a very, very good products in DSI kitchens. And I am really, in fact, I've learned a lot today. And I'll say that I don't think there's anything else I can add. The only thing I can tell to students is that please work with passion, do hard work. At some stage, probably you will get fed up. Oh, I'm doing this and there is no appreciation or things like that. But please work with passion, and ultimate goal will be a success. This is my blessings.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chef.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me chance.
Thank you. Chef Puneet, Chef Shantanu, I thank you both for everything that you brought to our table today. We're ever so grateful. Our students have really, really benefited from today with such simple techniques, such simple language, and so much of deep insights. Thank you. Ma'am Annabelle?
You know, I know that Puneet is going to get upset because we're going to constantly thank. But just as I said, there's one thing that we definitely go by in Don Bosco is we live with the attitude of gratitude because it opens so much to each and every student. You know, what I would really like all our students to keep their ears open, the finesse with which the canapes were made, the fact that it has become this huge enterprise which is serving to these absolute elite companies like Harrods and British Airways and to all the, you know, to the royalty. You have to realize that within the gamut of food, there will always be one niche that you can take and run with and create this huge enterprise. Puneet, it has been an absolute pleasure to listen to, you know, to how you have created this space and you're running this absolutely magnificent company. It is, you know, when you think of the magnitude of what you are doing, even though we are seeing just 2 canapes, when I was looking at those canapes and saying we're seeing 2, he is making them in multiples of hundreds and thousands. That's when the skill turns into an absolute finesse, and where art has to be backed by science, which you all are doing. I absolutely congratulate you on your AA grade for BARC, because that is a really very difficult accreditation to get. And you know, it would be wonderful if ever you're visiting back home to get an audit by somebody like you all. Both of you who are working in those conditions would only help us to be you know, even safer standards at Don Bosco. Shantanu, I thank you very much. I cannot tell you how hungry I am. you know, you're humble. The way you made it look so easy. Again, I'm thinking about the thousands that you make, and the kind of you know, calculation for getting the entire operation together, right from, like Puneet said, from seed to table, must be quite a task. I thank you both for taking the time. Thank you, Chef Satish. I was there literally for only a year as a trainee chef while I was doing my post-diploma. So you probably saw me waddle in 3 days a week and waddle out the other 3 days a week. But it was, you have no idea, my training in the butchery and garde manger and briefly in the Indian kitchen that I got at the Taj was undeniably one of the greatest building blocks for the rest of my career. So I thank you very much. Thank you both.
I'm really honored.
Thank
I'm really
you.
honored to listen. Thank
The
you.
honor is ours. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would just
Yes, Chef Puneet.
for running a business, you are as your team. Teamwork leads to success, and I think my message to the students who have taken the time out to hear us out today patiently, I'm sure they would have many questions running through their minds, but I think the basics is loyalty towards your profession, which is important. Success will come if you are patient, if there is perseverance, and there is loyalty towards your profession. Success will fall in place. There is a time for everything. If you're part of a team, be a contributor, because that is what would give you recognition. Today, I sit here so proud to have Chef Shantanu as my colleague, where both of us have put our thoughts together. We complement each other. And the same approach happens when we go out and sell our products. We capitalize on each other's strengths. So each individual has a spark in them. Be mindful of that you have the passion to develop that spark into something which is fruitful, which converts into success. So my best wishes to all the students. It's been a pleasure, and I definitely would love to come and see your institution when I am in India, in Bombay. That would be an absolute pleasure. Ma'am,
Thank you.
you are gorgeous. You will always be gorgeous, and I love you from the bottom.
Thank you very much, Puneet. Thank you. Chef Shantanu, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your visit, both of you, is a must.
Definitely.
Chef Satish Arora, we're going to make sure once COVID is done, even before Puneet and Shantanu come, that we get you to grace our Don Bosco College Hospital.
It'll be honor. It'll be honor, Ma'am Annabelle. It will be honor.
Chef Satish Arora has already promised that he's coming home and he's going to eat with me.
Hansak made by you.
Absolutely, Chef.
What a treat!
My honor.
It will be honor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Meher ma'am, and to the entire webinar team. We have this core team that makes sure that all the webinars are done. From Chef Melroy, who's been making sure that we don't lose the server, and who is our fantastic chef who has turned into an IT man during the COVID period. We have Chef Prasad, Chef Susan, Roma ma'am and Andre sir, who make sure that this is possible. To our two co-hosts who are our students also, who are making sure that we don't lose connectivity, that are helping Melroy Chef. Again, Meher ma'am, thank you so much for making sure that this happens. And to everybody that has tuned in, have a wonderful evening. Be safe, be well. We need to get through this. We will, and we'll all get to a brighter future. And I look forward to Chef Arora, Puneet, and Shantanu definitely visiting us so we can shower our Don Bosco hospitality on you.
Absolutely.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, Shantanu.
Thank you.